Hello everyone, this is Pooka, and welcome to another game I played on the Pokemon Trading Card Game Online. Now, this game was taken from my stream the other night, where the theme was, no EX Pokemon allowed. So, all of my decks during the stream did not contain any EXs. So here is one of those games. This is probably the best one I had. This is going to be an Emboar deck, which is going to be kind of like the old school Emboar Reshiram, going back to our roots there in the year 2011. So I'm going to open up, we do have Bouffalant. Going to go ahead and drop the double colorless onto Bouffalant. I could Juniper, but I would have to discard a switch, an Emboar, and 3 fire. And really my board is not going to advance, even if I draw a fresh 7 cards, so I decided to just hold on to it and pass. And my opponent ends me anyway. But this is not very good. Not only do I not have a supporter, I don't have a way to get an Emboar. I suppose I can attack. Looks like my opponent is playing a Sigilyph, Crobat, Dusknoir deck. It's an interesting mix of cards. We'll see if Emboar can stand up to this. And he plays a laser, puts me to sleep. And I gotta switch to get out of there. Now, unfortunately, the only energy I have is another double colorless energy. That is pretty bad. At the time, I actually didn't realize with that double colorless, I now have 4 energy on me, which means that Sigilyph using Psychic does 90. Minus 20 for the Boofer, that's 70. But if he had another laser and a Psychic energy, that actually knocks me out. So that was an oversight on my part. But I don't think there's much else I could have done. I mean, I could have put up Reshiram and used Outrage, I suppose. It might have been a more conservative play. So he does have the laser. Uh-oh. And he ends me. What's going to happen next? This is not good. So we still don't have a way to get Emboar. We just have a Bouffalant. Poisoned. This deck does not have much space for anything. You know, this is one of the decks that really benefits from having the EXs because you don't have to run so much stuff when, you know, your attackers can just kind of probably survive a turn most of the time and knock out things in one hit. You know, normally this deck would play Rayquaza EX and stuff like that, but when you have to constantly fuel attackers like Bouffalant and Reshiram and they just keep getting knocked out, it's tough. That's why this deck really doesn't work very well without EXs, but we're going to see if we can pull something up anyway. Gonna Rare Candy into Emboar, top deck that Rare Candy, that was beautiful. I'm gonna retreat with the double colorless, and then Inferno Fandango to attach the fire, and then switch, just to get out of the poison. And I draw a pretty ugly hand, but I'm gonna go ahead and put down another Tepig. I'll go ahead and Inferno Fandango to a Tepig. Of course, Inferno Fandango allows you to attach as many fire energy as you want in a turn. It's just like Blastoise's Deluge, but you rain down fire instead of water. And alright, we take the first prize with a Gold Breaker. But I don't think I'm in a very good position. You know, if he gets a Crobat, that actually knocks me out. I mean, it'll do 20 damage and then plus 60 when you have the poison and the Verbank. So that will be just enough to knock me out. And it'll be, since I already have 30 on me, he'll be able to knock me out. Kind of a bummer. So there is a Charon. If he gets the Crobat and the Psychic Energy, Bouffalant's going to go down, but no, he plays a switch into a Duskull. And I'm actually very happy to be able to get rid of this Duskull, because I hate Dusclops. Dusclops is the most annoying Pokemon to deal with. Or Dusknoir. I don't know why I'm saying Dusclops. Dusknoir is the most annoying Pokemon in pretty much every format ever. Wherever there was a Dusknoir, it was a feared card. And I don't want to see that thing come into play. You know, that Sinister Hand ability allows my opponent to manipulate the damage on my board. Don't really want to see that happen. I had an option to play a Dowsing Machine there and then maybe Bianca, but I figured discarding the cards would be too valuable. Wasting the Dowsing Machine wouldn't be a good idea. And I wasn't really going to draw many cards off Bianca anyway. So I decided not to do that. Looking back, I probably should have done something to try to get another Pokemon into play at the very least. And yep, there's that big bad Crobat. And he's going to Ultra Toxic Fang with the Verbank out there that will knock me out. And now what do? I'm going to promote Tepig here, the one without the energy, because I figure I'm really not going to be able to attack this turn. I was hoping to draw... I do play the other Emboar, so I was hoping to draw that here. And this is going to be a painful Juniper, discarding 2 switches. Oh, that is not very good. I have an Ultra Ball. I could get that bad Emboar out this turn, but I decide, it's probably not worth it. If, if he catches out my Inferno Fandango Emboar and hits it with the Ultra Toxic Fang, man, it could end up knocking out my Emboar, and I can't afford to lose that Inferno Fandango Emboar. I need that to accelerate my energy, otherwise I'm probably not going to win. So I just hold back on it, and we do see a catcher. He brings up Reshiram. It's an interesting move. I'm not sure why he's targeting that down. Maybe because it's full art. He thinks it's important. He's taking it out. But it doesn't take me out. It does 100 with the Fang, the Poison, the Verbank. And now I have a weird decision to make. What do I do here? I have a max potion, but if I do that, then Reshiram's Outrage only does 20. It's not really getting me anywhere. My other option is to just kind of Outrage for 120, and then I get knocked out by a Poison. And that's probably not too good either. So I'm really between a rock and a hard place here. I don't know what the correct thing to do is. He does have a Mewtwo on the bench, so I'm thinking maybe the best thing to do is just catcher up the Mewtwo, outrage it for 120, so then later I can finish it off with another attack. So I'm going to play Skyla here, and I'm going to just search for a Juniper, I suppose, so I can draw some more cards next turn. Of course, Skyla allows you to search for any trainer card. There are a lot of options I had here, but none of them were very good. For example, I could have taken like an energy retrieval and then used Blue Flare. It doesn't even knock out the Crobat though. I could have done all sorts of stuff. Now I could catch up Zubat and just take a prize as well. But I'm thinking at some point, excuse me, at some point, Mewtwo's going to come out. So I might as well deal with him now, right? I just accept the fact that I'm going to get knocked out by Poison and Verbank. And hit the Mewtwo for 120. Just say whatever. And promote the new Tepig. And we'll see what happens. Now, Crobat's 130 hit points actually screws up everything. Back in the day, you would always play plus powers with Reshiram because, well, 120 just always seemed to be short of the big knockouts. You know, those other Reshirams with 130 hit points, the Zekroms with 130 hit points, Magnezone Prime, 140 hit points. So you would always play plus power just to hit that magic 130 or even 140 mark. But you can't really fit plus power in this deck now that Junk Arm's gone, and you have to play more stuff. So, yeah, I have really no way to knock out that Crobat in one hit, besides the bad Emboar. The one that has Flare Blitz, the one that does 150 for 4, and then discards all of your fire energy. So I think that's what we gotta go for. He knocks out the Tepig. We're gonna promote the Tepig with the 2 fire on it, and then Ultra Ball. I have to discard a fire. I wish I would have drawn something else that was worthless. But we're gonna Ultra Ball for big old Emboar. Man, this is taking me back. I have not used this guy in a long time. And alright, we got the energy retrieval. Gonna get back 2 fire energy. Taking me back to the days of Super Legend Boar, if you guys remember that deck. That was a long time ago. That was on the old version of Pokemon TCG Online. But alright, we're going to Inferno Fandango. Flare Blitz for 150 damage. Take that, Crobat. All at the cost of discarding 4 fire energy. Not very efficient, but hey, what else can we do? So now my field is 2 Emboars with no energy in play. There was no use in attaching an extra fire to the active one because then it would have to just get discarded by Flare Blitz. You have to discard all your fire. The reason I play double colorless in the first place is so that you can fulfill Flare Blitz, the 2 colorless costs, and then you only have to discard 2 fire to attack. But I had to use both those double colorless early on with Bouffalant, and that's not good. So we'll see what happens here. This is looking kind of ugly. But it's not over yet. And you can just kind of see that this deck is probably not very good. I had a pretty good lead in this game. You know, I took down the Sigilif at the start. I took down Dusknoir. And we're tied in prizes. I was actually losing before this. And this is just kind of the clunkiness of an Emboar deck. He does have a computer search. And I believe this is actually his 4th double colorless energy. That's pretty annoying that he had his 4th one there. He had the computer search for it. If he didn't have that here, I think I would be in a tremendous position to win. Because he wouldn't be able to attack me this turn. I would have time to sit back, set up, and, you know, kind of go to town on him. But he had the computer search, and now I get hit with an Ultra Toxic Fang for, you know, 100 total damage after all the effects. And now what do? We look in the discard pile, and oh no, 4 switches in there. What will I do now? Let's see, we take a look at his discard pile. There's a lot of good stuff gone. But yeah, Junipering away 2 switches early on, that killed me. And that might actually be, you know, the end of the game for me. I don't see how I can really get around this now. Emboar is going to get knocked out. Play the Skyla. But oh yeah, we got Dowsing Machine. So we're going to have to do that, I think. I wanted to save the Dowsing Machine to get a catcher to bring out the Mewtwo at some point. But it's pretty clear that this is the only way I'm going to win now. Dowsing Machine to get back a 5th switch. That was pretty clutch, I gotta say. If that were computer search in this game, I would have lost. Certainly seems like it. So we're going to Inferno Fandango, 2 onto Reshiram, and then we'll put 1 on the Emboar, just in case, you know, the Inferno Fandango Emboar gets catchered. And we're going to Outrage 420. Now, this might seem kind of dumb because, well, he can just hit me with Ultra Toxic Fang, right? And then I'm going to get knocked out by poison. But if I do the 20 first, and then he hits me for 100, I can then Outrage for 120, knock him out. We'll both get knocked out. Then we'll both be down to 2 prizes. The difference is he has Mewtwo on his board. I don't have any EXs. So I might be able to pull out a win here. The problem is he has a ton of cards in his hand. But the bright side is that he really doesn't have any double colorless left. So his energy attachments are going to be super slow. The only thing he can really attack with soon is Mewtwo. And if that's the case, it's only got 50 hit points left. We can Heat Crash that with Emboar and finish him off. So we're going to see if the old school Emboar deck, and whoa, he plays a Chorus for 3 cards. I think he realized the importance of getting another basic down, because if he didn't, what was he going to do? We're going to Inferno Fandango, drew a fire there, knock at Skyla or Juniper here. I think, I don't know, I might have been better off playing a Skyla here. But Juniper is definitely an option as well, so go ahead and do that. I might as well throw it on that Tepig because I have a damaged Emboar anyway. And I probably need something to throw up against that Sigilif. You know, we're both going to get knocked out at the end of this turn, so I want something to promote here, not the Emboar. And go with another Inferno Fandango. I don't know if this is the right move. I put a 3rd energy on my Emboar, and then we're going to Super Rod, shuffle in 3 fire energy, I think. We are running out of fire energy at this point. I could put in a Reshiram, but you know what, we're just saying, we're going to ride the back of this Emboar. Hopefully we can take it to victory. And what can we do? He sends up Mewtwo. So that's actually, you know, that's fine with me. If he has a ridiculous amount of cards, like a catcher, energy, laser, he could actually knock out my benched Emboar. You know, it'll do just enough for a knockout, but he's got a 4-card hand. Doesn't seem very likely. I think he's also used a lot of catchers and lasers and stuff like that. So I'm not too worried about it. And if this Mewtwo stays active, he just kind of loses. But there, he plays the switch. And, alright, a laser. Oh no, my Tepig. That's a bummer. So he did have a laser. If I didn't promote that Tepig there, I probably would have lost this game. So thank you, Tepig. Now, what can we do from here? I can only Bianca for 1. I don't want to end him to a bigger hand. So that was kind of a bummer there. And I'm going to have to just kind of promote Emboar and pass. Well, I'm going to have to pass Tepig will get knocked out from the poison, and then I'll promote Emboar. And then just hope that he doesn't draw anything good. So this has turned into a horrible situation now that I've run out of switches and stuff like that. My hand clogged up. Bianca wasn't much of a help. I have a lot of dead cards left in my deck that are not going to be worthwhile anymore, like those 2 Emboars in my hand. That Tool Scrapper's not going to be worth anything. Bicycle is not good when your hand is clogged up. And N is only going to get me 2 cards. But we can still win here. You know, I do have 20 hit points left on that Emboar. But he has used... Oh, he's only used 2 catchers. Alright, this is going to be pretty bad. So if he draws a catcher, I lose the game. But what else can I do? So I think I need to... I can't afford to take a hit from Sigilif. So I need to just knock him out. I do have enough energy left to go Flare Blitz this turn. And then if I'm fortunate enough, I have energy retrieval left. I have a ton of energy left in my deck. So I think I'm going to end this turn. We're going to look at the discard pile. There's 4 fire in there, 2 retrievals. So I do have retrieval left. I do have fires left. I should be able to pull this off. So I'm going to end him to 1 and me to 2. Hopefully we get a supporter off of this. And then I'm going to Flare Blitz for the knockout. That's going to discard all my energy, which seems bad. But it's also going to prevent Mewtwo from X-balling for a lot of damage. So end to 1, Flare Blitz. And now we do need to get a little bit lucky here. What do we get off the prize? A Chorus. That's not too bad. You know, it's going to give me 2 cards as opposed to the 1 from N. Draw Tool Scrapper. Not the greatest card here. So I think it's going to come down to this. I'm going to Inferno Fandango onto my Emboar. And then I need to draw a Retrieval or 2 fires. Otherwise, I'm probably going to lose. So here is the Chorus. Going to shuffle and draw 2. And, Retrieval! We got it! Emboar overcomes the odds, and my opponent concedes before he can even see it happen. He took away my big moment, man. That was going to be the glorious moment. Emboar heat crashes Mewtwo for the win. But we all know what would have happened. So somehow, someway, Emboar, the bad Emboar, the Flare Blitzer, the guy that discarded 4 fire energy just to knock out a Crobat, is the MVP of this game. Wow. So you can see it's a mighty struggle when you don't have EXs in your deck. But you can still compete, I suppose. So, thanks guys for watching. I'll have some more videos soon. This is Pooka here from the Top Cut. And I'll see you guys next time.